Hello, and welcome to Talking Songs with me, Roland Jones. How are we all doing out there? What have I been up to? I've been up to trying to stay warm, basically. I had a gig up in the lakes last night, which was a horrendous drive, 2 hours locked. And of course, being Christmas, is everybody's heading to the Trafford Centre. I can't imagine why, really, because it's horrific. And so what should have been the first 10 minutes drive took about 25 minutes. So I didn't get home till late last night, but it was good. Nice gig. The funny thing was, it was freezing cold up there. And this place is a bar called the Crafty Bar in Windermere. And it's so traditionally going, and there's like this smell of burning logs, and it's just gorgeous. Fantastic. Although you put the guitar down, you realize it's like a 2 semitones flat because the strings have expanded with the heat. But apart from that, it was a good evening. So what have I got for you today? This is a song I recorded about 4 years ago, and I've kind of forgotten all about it because I always thought you needed an extra verse. And I just realized that I had actually written an extra verse. So I shall give this one a whirl. This is called The Devil's in the Detail. Every picture tells a story. Every romance has a tale. We all want those happy endings to make it good, not see it fail. It's not just saying I love you. It's in everything you do. They say the devil's in the detail. No one can tell me that's not true. People say they love one another, but 2 hours later, it's hell on earth. You know, I often wonder what those 3 little words are worth. It's not just saying I love you. It's in everything you do. They say the devil's in the detail. No one can tell me that's not true. When tempers fray, there is no winner, just the one who shouts the most. Even they are still the loser. There's too many holes in the post. It's not just saying I love you. It's in every little thing you do. They say the devil's in the detail. No one can tell me that's not true. Always try and say the way that you feel. Always stick to your rules. You know deep inside it's the only way to go. And fighting is just for fools. It's not just saying I love you. It's in every little thing you do. They say the devil's in the detail, and no one can tell me that's not true. Yes. It's funny like that, going back to songs after a while. So over now to my guest. My guest this evening is Donna Canale. Donna, how are you doing?
Hi, Roland. I'm really good. I could do with being a tad warmer. I've been out of the house all day long, so I kind of dashed back for this and thought, oh crikey, the heating's been off all day long. So I think I might start to perspire by about halfway through this. But at the moment, it's just blooming cold in here. But other than that, I'm great. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Yeah, as I say, a bit of a long day yesterday because Leslie normally comes with me on gigs, and obviously she wasn't able to come. And but that's like a 2-hour drive there and a 2-hour drive back afterwards. Felt a bit stressful, to be honest. The gig was fine. The funny thing is, being Windermere, though. I mean, I've done this gig about. They've got a bar in Keswick and one in Windermere, and I've done them 3 or 4 times. And the only people I ever get to talk to there are not locals, because everybody's there on holiday. It's really quite.
Well, that's good, because that means you can always play the same set. And
absolutely,
they won't
know. Yes, you
spotted
it's always
it. Different people, so there's the devil's in the detail.
Absolutely, yeah.
To quote your own song, which you
thank
just
you,
did.
thank you.
Yeah, I once had a trip. Used to do a lot of touring with various bands, and oh my goodness, some of the tour. The schedule was crazy, and there was one time I'll never forget it. We literally had to go from King's Lynn to Aberystwyth. Now, anybody who knows Aberystwyth and know King's Lynn will know that that's probably the most you can do cross country.
Just about it, yeah.
I think we booked a hotel somewhere in the middle because it was just like, no. And that was after a gig. We set off, did a gig, went to the pub, had a pint, got in the cars, drove to somewhere in the Midlands, stayed the night, and then the next.
Aberystwyth is. I mean, it's funny. We went to Aberystwyth a few months ago. It's where my mother's family is from, and I'd not been there for years. And we drove from Manchester, and we set off from here at 10 o'clock on a Thursday morning, and it rained solidly till 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. But we had a fantastic time. But the last, because you can't, it's not an easy way to get to Aberystwyth.
Nope. That's true.
Is this like the motorways go past over there, and it's like, hi, remember?
Roads.
But actually, I think that's one of the nice things about it, because it is a little bit inaccessible.
Yeah, you got to really want to go there. I think that's the thing. I do have to give a shout out. I don't know if they're tuned in yet, but my good friends Nick and Sandra Bush, I thought of Aberystwyth because I think they're going to be listening at some point to our little live stream just now, and I think they met in Aberystwyth because they both. I think they studied there. So I just a bit of a shout out. Hey, Sandra.
A shout out
Nick.
for ABBA.
I promised I wouldn't be boring, you see. So I thought if I get on the good side of them, then they'll forgive me.
Get your audience with you.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So Donna, when did it all start for you? When did music all start for you? Very early age, family?
Well, I don't really remember a time where music didn't feature highly in my life, and not because of stuff around me, just with the inner voices, me, myself, and I. And I mean, I remember when I'm not going to say how old I was because I'd give away my age, but harmonizing to the radio, harmonizing to things like the Wombles, and it just sort of, hearing harmonies, making up songs, used to sing myself to sleep. So I think I've always been that way inclined, which I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, to be honest, because if I had my time again, would I have wanted to live my life differently, or be a GP or a psychiatric nurse or something, probably would have. But every time I try and stop music or try and diversify, trained as an actor, did acting stuff. I do a lot of teaching. I don't know many musicians who don't do a fair bit of teaching. Two reasons. One, it's a great way to earn some money to go into the recording studio. And also it's a lovely way to give something back. You learn by teaching. So
teaching when it's great is wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, teaching in certain circumstances can be a nightmare, but teaching as a
I like the stuff I do.
is great.
I like the stuff I do, but really,
but you're working one-to-one presumably a lot of the time.
Yeah, a lot of it. But I mean, it wasn't always. I did used to do. I never did classroom teaching. I really would. I'm too grumpy. But teaching adults or teaching higher diploma students, that sort of thing, in groups, in classes, that's great fun. I enjoy that. But the times I've tried to put down music, it just doesn't let me, and it's like there's a steering wheel at the back of me driving me. That doesn't always mean I've had great huge success all the time, although I have worked as a professional all these years. The guitar that you see in front of you, this is a new thing. This is me getting into, my third age kind of thing, thinking, right, what can I do that scares the pants off of me? And I thought, I know, I'll play guitar. I'll play guitar and sing, because that's challenging. So I've only really been playing guitar and singing for 4 years.
Oh, right, okay. But so did you play an instrument before that?
Well, I can bash away at piano and I can pick away at guitar a little bit, but no, I've always really concentrated on
just on voice.
Most of the work I've done is being a vocalist. I'm lucky because I did have a chance to study a bit of music, did a postgraduate course at the Guildhall School of Music, did in jazz, which really set me up, I've got to say. And through that, I found myself with a lot of perseverance able to sight sing and stuff. So when it comes to sitting down at the piano, if I want to learn a new song, I can sit down at the piano, I can sight read the music, I can sight read the melody. I mean, it's stuff that develops over the years, but yeah, it's been a long and winding road, to quote a certain band. It has been long and winding, and I've got a funny feeling I haven't even arrived.
Should never arrive.
We're close. I know. I think I'll just stay on the road. There was I was reading an article in Facebook. Somebody was talking about, as an artist, it's like, it's not about success, it's about how long you can stay on the bus. And it was great. And like, stay on the bus, and people are getting off the bus, and then you turn around and you might be the only person on the bus. And this was a guy called Jay Stapley, who's a lovely guitarist, great producer, educator. And he'd put in an article. I mean, it's worth a read if anybody wants to look it up. But it's all just about the perseverance, and success is just about just persevering. And then what is success? I think it's not about fame, So
it's I mean, there was I remember Kurosawa, that when he got an award for the a lifetime contribution to film directing.
Okay.
And
I'm going to pretend I know who you're talking about.
Oh, he's the guy. Well, I mean, he did the Seven Samurai and all those classic Japanese films. Just fantastic director. And when he got the award for a lifetime's contribution, and I think he was 90 at the time, he actually said, "I still don't think I've done my best work." And I don't think he was taking the mick. I don't think.
No, well, that's encouraging, because I often joke. I say to people, "I'm going to die in harness here." I'm just...
I thought you were going to say you die in harmony.
Oh no! Well, I need somebody to be holding my hand to do that. I think I just hope that no one ever taps me on the shoulder and says, "Ms. Canale, don't you think you should stop now?" Because I hope nobody ever does that to me. Because we all walk around, don't we? We walk around as people waiting for someone to say, "What are you doing here? You shouldn't be in here."
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to just go, "Do you know what? I'm not going to wait for the tap on the shoulder. I'm just going to keep going."
Just keep doing it. Yeah.
And so, I just hope that I'm allowed, when I'm really wrinkly, to keep going. I'm having my little renaissance, really, Roland. I think that's this business, this guitar business. Like, who put this here? But it's we've got to have something. We've got to have something to look.
Definitely.
It
was a lovely quote I read a short while ago, and it said, "The young people of today have got to think as to what sort of future they're leaving for people like Willie Nelson and Keith Richards." I thought that was that's my quote for the year.
Yeah, I know. But
okay, then let's talk. Let's have a listen to some music then.
Oh, okay.
So what are you going to do for us to start with?
Well, since I've got the capo on the 4th fret, I might as well do. This was a song. This first song. I have got some new songs, people. I don't always do the same songs. And I am going to be recording some, but it's just if anybody's watching the live stream that knows me, they'll have heard all of these songs before. But basically, this was, I bought, I've got 2 daughters, 18-year-old twins, and I wanted them to take up guitar. So I helped them to spend their birthday money and the Christmas money on a half-decent guitar. And I thought, I'd better show an example. I'd better show them how to play. So I just sat down and I just started playing a few chords, and before I knew it, this song had sprung out, and it's called My Name, and it's about, I wrote it because I was inspired by the fact that I think by the time you get to our age, you've suffered in some way, and you hope sometimes that this is awful, really, it's very, very awful. You kind of hope that the people that made you suffer more as a result of the suffering they caused you. My brother calls it karma custard. So this is a kind of song about karma.
Schadenfreude, actually. As well.
I've got a song called the Schadenfreude Jive. I don't think I'll sing that tonight, but this one's called My Name, and it's all about karma custard.
Brilliant.
Oh, hang on. I just want to do that. My name is all I have. My name is all I have. When you took it away, you stood as my heart died and watched a tidal wave drown me inside. I guess you love the lies, for I saw them deep down in your eyes. What goes around will come again, so surely you will lose all of her, just like I lost all of you. Oh, oh. La da 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 da, la da. Ah. My name is all I've got. For one moment gone, but now I'm back. And I, for one, will always know the truth of who you really are. And you are not my name. You will never have my name. No, you are not my name. She is not my name.
Great. Nice tune. Nice tune. David Fee saying, sounding great, Donna.
Oh, David, hello.
And Nick Bush has put, hi, we're here, and yes, we met in ABBA.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're there. Do you know what? I think that I owe them a Christmas present for just being my top fans, those two. and Sandra's a great singer. And I sing with Sandra in a choir. We've got a gig actually on the 18th in Covent Garden in the the church in Covent Garden.
Oh, nice.
And Nick is, he's the best husband. If only he'd had like a brother or something. But anyway, but hi Nick, hi Sandra, and hi David.
Well, there you go. That's a good citation for you there, Nick.
Yeah. If only he'd had a brother.
If
Maybe
only
he does
had
have a brother. I never asked.
It's good. Actually, it's a good song there, isn't it? If only he had a brother. So you said you worked with various bands. What sort of bands were you working with? Sort of rock bands or jazz outfits or big bands or...
I was giving this a little bit of I was having a bit of a thought, thinking, I'm getting asked questions tonight and I've got no idea what he's going to ask me. And I was thinking of the first band I was ever in. I was 16 and it was Scotland. And of course, like a absolute numpty, did I not go and fall in love with a guitarist? Of course you do, don't you? Having said that, I'm still really good friends with those guys. I fell in love with Joe Breslin, and he's now a top lighting director in TV and stuff, and he does a lot of the Gaelic, the Alba folk stuff on telly. Right. And my other friend, Dave Williamson, I think he works with Majure at the moment. So I was sort of in a decent band when I first started. That was just the luck of the draw, because Aberdeen, it could have gone any way. But after being down in London, just surviving the move from Aberdeen to London, because I couldn't get away fast enough from Scotland. Sorry, Scotland. I landed up doing a lot of jazz. And I got a grant. I'd done this postgraduate. I'd done some training and I'd done some little workshops and things. And then I got a grant for 500 quid. And I thought, well, I haven't got a car. So I had a PA, and then I would book bass players that had a car that lived near me so that I could get a lift to the gig. And so I started doing little jazz gigs and things. And then, so I kind of, I don't know, I was just lucky. People just kept ringing me up saying, do you want this gig? Do you want that gig? And I just always said yes, yes to everything. And then I landed up with a situation where I landed up on a cruise ship, doing, costumes, glitz, by night, band singer, but also doing some of the dances and stuff. And I loved all that. It was just a short period. And then when I came out of there, I sort of didn't know what I was going to do. And then when you do gigs with lots of different people, of course, I'm not a very natural born schmoozer. I'm not a schmoozer, but I met a lot of people. And an opportunity came up with a good friend of mine. She was singing with the Glenn Miller Orchestra UK, and she just got a job working with the Sid Lawrence Orchestra. So this got me into the big band world. And I landed up touring with the Glenn Miller Orchestra UK for about 5 years, round and round and round the theatres. And then from that, I don't want to bore you with it, but that led to going to Japan and doing a tour over there with another kind of orchestra, and then came back and got invited by a lovely guy called Andy Pryor to do a big band tour called The Magic of Sinatra.
Yeah,
and so
I know Andy Pryor. Yeah.
Do you?
He used to work up here in the Northwest quite a lot.
He did. Well, it was
because I used to play in a big band up here.
Oh,
so
did you? Well, you must know Andy, because Andy was the top man at the time. I think he likes to tinker with steam trains these days, as far as I can tell. And I don't blame him, really. But we went on this incredible tour doing the Magic of Sinatra show. I was his guest. And the beautiful thing about that were the theatres. I'd gone around these theatres, but to go... And it was kind of slightly more on my terms. So he would do, he'd do a couple of songs at the beginning. I'd come on, do a duet with him. And then I would stay on and do about 25 minutes on my own with the big band. And that was just a delight. They were a fantastic big band. And then I had to do a couple of duets with him. The second half, he'd do the second half. But as a result of that, I was lucky enough to play, all the major concert halls in this country and Ireland. But also, I think for me, the loveliest moment was being at the Palladium For me, I think there's a certain generation where we go, the Palladium means something.
Yeah.
You know, it means something. And I got to the sound check at the London Palladium, got on the stage, and the first thing I did was just have a little cry. I just, oh my God, I'm here. And it was ridiculous, really. But it was just because I'd seen I'd seen great places that I'd grown up watching the variety show, seen people at the Palladium. I know who was on that stage. So
yeah. Interesting. You talk about the big band thing though, because I, as I say, I did it for about 5-6 years, or a regular weekly gig with a big band. And the thing that I loved about it was the Great American Songbook, and working. Do you find that as a huge influence on how you write these days, or not? Or is it just there in the background all the time?
No. It doesn't. It's not conscious.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can be singing jazz tunes from the American Songbook and beyond, also British artists as well, Norma Winston, her stuff. Yeah. You can't teach and sing the Great American Songbook and not somehow have it seep into your
Absolutely.
work. In fact, I don't, I'm self-taught on guitar. Well, I say I was lucky enough to study music at the Guildhall, but I was kind of always running behind everybody. Everybody had done like a degree in music, and I was all going, what does that symbol mean? What does that chord symbol mean? I was always a step behind. But it, just like osmosis, it just seeps into you. And whilst the way I write is I literally make shapes on the guitar. My friend Steve Rushton, who's my drummer, he says to me, how do you come up with these chords? And a few people have asked me that. How do you come up with these chords? I go, well, I don't know. I just make shapes, and they sound right. And then I write the song, and then I go to the piano and I analyze what those shapes have turned into, and then I can tell you what kind of chord sequences they are. And it's only when I get to the piano and I look at the chord sequence, I go, that was a jazz standard in somebody's book at some point. It
always is.
it just, you can't get away. If you if you know your way around a 2-5-1, then ultimately you're going to find that those influences come to bear. I think maybe I don't do everything. Also, some of the stuff I do is quite folky, or some of the stuff I do is quite Joni Mitchell. So that's got a different texture, a different flavor. But yeah, who can get away from the American Songbook without the blues? Without those jazz standards,
no, I think they're marvelous.
We wouldn't have music in the way that we know it. I don't think so. Yeah, it has a huge bearing on me, but it's not so conscious. But it's just in there.
Somebody once, the sax player I used to work with, who said once to me, which I thought was lovely. He said, "I like the fact you write blues, but you use a sharpened fifth." I thought, okay, well, it's true. I sharpened fifth and a flat and nice.
But it's funny because some people, they come out in a rash at the word jazz, and but they do. And I've got this. Oh my God, I was inspired. I've got a sort of say, Gitika Partington is an amazing songwriter, and she's really responsible for me getting a bit of sound equipment and starting to write again. So I got to thank Gitika. But we were having a little jam in my living room where I'm sitting now, and I was playing a song which I might play for you later, and she went, "We don't want those blooming major seventh chords. We don't need any of those major seventh." And I'll never forget it. And I laughed because I thought, well, what's wrong with the major seventh chords? Because they get about in my music. That's for sure.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But
the one I just sang starts on a major ninth. So it's I'm in there with you.
But I never try and get. I'm not clever I'm intelligent enough, but I'm not clever with music. I know people far cleverer than anything I could ever come up with. I've just been so blessed with the network I have. Some of the people, they're just genius. But I don't think you should ever let yourself judge yourself based on the chords, or whether you want it to be more complicated or whether you want it to be simpler. I just really come from the school of, if it sounds right, if it feels good, and it's kind of allowing you to come up with a melody, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the influence of of the Great American Songbook is because a lot of those writers were keyboard players initially, or essentially, and as a result, a 1625 or a 251, whatever. If you're always playing it in sort of root position type things with like normal inversions, it gets to sound a bit boring. So they were the guys who were adding the extensions and the flattened ninths and things like that. But if they're not essential to the tune.
It depends on the tunes, not in the main, but I think that it does. Some of the tunes were quite sophisticated. The other thing about a lot of those songwriters, as I discovered, I mean, there are a lot of women songwriters in the time, but there were a lot of, not only were the piano players, but they were male piano players, which meant that every time a woman comes to a jazz standard, you've got to transpose it into a decent key to sing. Because I've always had this idea that there they are with a pencil in their ear and the manuscript on the piano, and they're going la 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 la, and it's a good key for them, and it's a good key for Sinatra, so that's all they need. And then we've got so actually one of the things I do teach is transposition. Being able to transpose a chord chart, because how often do women need to transpose a chord chart?
Do you know that was it Irving Berlin who only ever played on the black notes?
That's him and Stevie Wonder.
I think it was Irving Berlin had a piano built for him. He only ever played on the black notes, and he had a grand piano built for him that transposed. It actually moved the keyboard.
No.
And it cost something like £15,000, this thing, which at that time was like the price of a small city. And but he could only play on the black notes. So when he got to the point, he just like, well, okay, we'll just they clogged a lever or something, and the whole thing just moved.
Want one of those.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah. Oh, mind you, we've got MIDI. We don't need those. Yeah. We just got MIDI.
Yeah, we cheat. Yeah. Okay, I think it's time for another song.
Oh, all right. Now, well, since we've been talking about jazz, but please don't pigeonhole me. And I don't know if I can play without making mistakes because it's a bit sophisticated. This song, I did a workshop with Boo Hewardine one weekend, and he said one of the stimulus for writing is you can look up old phrases or old adages, old sayings and everything. And I came up with this idea of hold a candle, when you don't hold a candle or something. And I wrote a lyric, and it was not dissimilar to this, but then I wrote some music, but it got shelved, a bit like how your first song that you did tonight, you kind of shelved it, you forgot about it, you thought you hadn't finished it, and then you got it out and thought, oh, actually I did finish it, I just forgot. So I came to this. I've been doing a create and release thing. This is Saskia and the Talentless Timeless People. And we had an afternoon to write something. And I just came across these lyrics again. I thought, oh, I'll try and write this song to these Don't Hold a Candle to Me lyrics. So this one, if I can get it right, and I apologize in advance if I don't, it's about not wanting someone, if someone falls in love with you, they think you're marvelous. It's the rose-colored spectacles. Everybody thinks you're marvelous. And then when the scales come off and they go, oh, she's not so marvelous. She's just normal and maybe a bit dull or a bit fat or a bit, cranky in the mornings or something. And that goes and I'm not referring to my ex-husband, am I? And anyway, it's just saying, please, don't hold a candle to me. Just put the candle down. Don't think of me as mega special. Just see me for who I am, and don't hold the candle. Just hold me. That's the song. I've got a cat making dough behind me.
Yeah, I could just see him walking. He just walked across his shoulders before.
This cat. Do you mind going? The thing is, she likes the guitar. She's sitting, that kneading bread thing that they do, and it's annoying. But you've had to shut your cat in the cellar. Haven't you?
Left him in the kitchen. Yeah,
because he meows a lot. I heard him earlier.
Well, he is. I think I told you he's 20 years old and he's
geriatric and possibly got senile dementia.
Yeah, but he's also deaf as a post. So being a Bengal, he shouts rather than talks these days.
Well, I'm not going to cut a lot of slack with this cat, so I better just get on with it. So don't hold a candle to me.
Don't hold a candle to the cat.
Yes. Go me. don't hold a candle to me. I'm really quite happy in the dark, as long as there's enough light to see the love we are making will set me free. When all that I have turns to dust, I'll try to find a way for you to stay. But darling, you must not hold a candle to me, my love. Just take me in your arms and hold me. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-la-la, ba-da-da-dee-da-da, da-da-da-ba-ba-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-dee, ba-da-da-ba-da-dee-ba-da-dee. When all that remains of my flame is the ashen-colored ember of past loves who burned me down. So don't hold a candle to me, my love. Just walk along the ground, it's where I can be found. Just wrap your arms around and hold me.
Nice. And just at the very last chord, a small ear appeared just above you. Yeah, brilliant. Nice. It's just listening to that and the sort of harmonies you use in it, because you use the dominant chords, the resolution, quite characteristically jazzy style, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I do.
They're very clear cut, which you don't clear cut and yet subtle at the same time.
Well, I have limitations as a guitarist, so like, you know, an A7 is going to sound like an A7.
Yeah, but it's more than that. No, it's more subtle than that. It's more subtle than that. It's not, because I mean, you know, the first people who sort of start off with just playing root chords, and they'll do, you know, the G and the G7th and the D and the D7th and something. But it's more than that, because you drop them in a different way. I can't explain what it is, but it's
I can't explain it either. As I said, no. I just make shapes. But what I do like doing is I like doing a combination of, you know, sort of changing the minors and the majors. And when you think you're going to go to a dominant, it's you know, like you know, where you don't know quite where it's going to go. And then I discovered diminished scales, and whoa, that was, you know, that was me. It's like, diminished chords.
These are good.
I don't really think about it. I just literally do genuinely make shapes. But all the background I have, and also I'm gonna tell you about a couple of my big influences as well. But all they do, it's the thing I really like to add in to music is color. I see kind of color in music, you know. I get, like, especially on a piano, I can, you know, F, it's red, you know, A and A minor, it's kind of a sort of quite a dark blue, and you know, G minor is somewhere between a green and a woody brown, and D's orange, and C's yellow.
Well, they do say, I've heard classical musicians say that D minor is the most miserable of keys.
Oh, really?
The saddest of keys.
Do you think? Oh,
I'm not me. No, I'm merely quoting.
Oh,
I mean, apart from the voicings on guitar,
I
don't
want to
really
play in A minor more. I think A minor is the most miserable, but
again, it might be the voicing when you play A minor on a guitar.
Be.
It has a certain voicing that you wouldn't get on
piano. But yeah,
on piano.
Yeah,
on piano, you're playing all the white notes, aren't you?
Yeah.
In A minor.
So you are with a D minor, really? What are you? No, you're not.
No, not quite.
No, you're in G.
Because your relative major
you're
is
an F. You got
well in A minor. Your relative major is
yes,
C, isn't it? So
yeah, F.
But there's that. Yeah, I've never quite understood why one minor should be more or less depressing than another. But
what you need to do is you need to speak to my friend Neil Angili, because he'll tell you all about the Harmonic Series. It's really to do with the Harmonic Series. It's to do with the frequencies at which music kind of reverberates. So I'm not going to bore you with that, but there's plenty.
That's a relief.
You can,
it could be an 2 or 3 hours study on that. I feel.
Oh no, don't get me started. I promised Nick and Sandra I wouldn't bore them.
Okay, so I think Nick's just said, "Got to go now, Donna. See you soon."
Oh, okay.
There you go. He'd already put that. He didn't drive him away with you.
So
Don't worry.
That's good.
Who are your influences then? You said you're going to mention your influences.
Well, I've got a whole list as long as my arm, but I think my 2 major influences were Ricky Lee Jones and Joni Mitchell. But Ricky Lee Jones, people, Joni Mitchell, she gets all the glory because she deserves it, because she's amazing. And you can't strum a guitar with a different tuning and not think of Joni Mitchell, and you can't be into jazz and not think of Joni Mitchell. But Ricky Lee Jones, she doesn't get so much of a look in.
No.
But oh my, her albums, the harmonies. I mean, her first album, she had Steve Gadd on drums and the Brecker Brothers playing with her. It was her first album. She was like, I don't know, 20 something. The Chucky's in Love, that.
Yeah, fabulous
Chucky's
song.
in Love on it.
Fantastic song.
So
beautiful.
My sense of harmony and the way that I layer up harmony, because when I record music, I layer up harmonies as a vocalist, and Joni Mitchell and Ricky Lee Jones, their sense of harmony really influenced me. And actually, Pink Floyd, would you believe it? Floyd, because I'm a bit of a quiet prog rocker. You'll find me. So if I think of things to play at my funeral, it could be Supertramp's Dreamer,
Great song.
It could be.
It is
but it could be, I'm
not sure the falsetto voice goes with a funeral, but I mean...
I will be something cheerful, but then again, oh my God, Anita O'Day, Ella Fitzgerald, the list. Oh, and a Scottish artist who I always used to feel was terribly underrated until she got like an OBE or an MB or something. I thought, oh, she's not underrated anymore. And that's Eddie Reader. Oh,
right, yeah.
She's a fabulous writer, but her collaborations with people, again, her singing, her voice, the production, I aspire to be able to kind of do what those people.
Just interesting when you're talking about just going back to Ricky Lee Jones and Joni Mitchell for a minute. You were saying before about being a self-taught guitar player. Well, the thing about Joni Mitchell, which I only discovered recently, was apparently one of the reasons she used open tunings was because of her illness.
She had polio.
Yeah, and because of that, she found that the normal process of learning to finger the strings was harder, so therefore she just used open tunings. But as a result, she evolved an amazing personal sound, just phenomenal.
And it's unique, isn't it? I mean, it's absolutely. You hear a bit of guitar from Joni, and it's her with one strum. I think I look for, I've just played you a couple of tunes that one was a bit of a kind of sort of bossa nova influenced, and then the other one was a bit of a jazz standardy one because of the conversations we were having and stuff before. But oftentimes I will really try and find a song that I can play that only needs 2 fingers to each chord, because it just makes life easier, makes me slightly better at guitar. It's smoke and mirrors.
I think also
than I am.
One of the things for me is I use a lot of it restricts you to, unless you want to use a capo, but it restricts you to the number of keys, because I like using open strings and allowing the guitar to resonate, because I think that's one of the beautiful things about it.
Yes.
So I tend to do a similar thing, but yeah, but you're right, it's quite useful. I think it was I attended a workshop once with Jim Hall, and somebody at that time, a lot of jazz guitar players were starting to use 7-string guitars, and he said, somebody said to him, have you ever thought about playing a 7-string guitar? And he said, oh God, no. He said, 6 is much too much for me already. If you listen to Jim Hall's playing, right. He plays two-note chords a lot of the time, but just wonderful guitar player.
I've just remembered you're talking about, guitar players, and my mum had a cassette, and it was Bert Jansch.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
I
fantastic.
just fell in love with his playing. And then there was a singer. I remember there was a song he sang on this cassette. I think I wore the cassette out. And then I will go there to the Curragh of Kildare. Yeah. And it was the Curragh of Kildare. Right. And I just thought that song was just magical. Yeah. Can I talk about one more magical song that I couldn't possibly play, but it comes from the folk? Because unfortunately for me, I'm interested in so many different kinds of music. I think maybe I struck death metal off my list a few years ago, but other than that, I'm interested in just a bit of prog rock, jazz, folk, indie music, love the 1975, love all sorts of hybrid music. But there was a song that I heard, is it June Tabor?
Oh, right, yeah.
And it came on, I had it on, I played it for my girls. We were driving back we'd been up north, we were driving back. I said, you got to listen to this. They were so singularly unmoved by it. And I was in tears and I was driving. It's the King of Rome. Right. Do you know the King of Rome? No. It's you've got to find June Tabor, the King of Rome.
I'll check that out.
It's the King of Rome was actually a homing pigeon. And to the best of my knowledge, it's a true story about just a very humble working man who lived in Derby, and he had the homing pigeons. Right. And there was a big storm brewing, and I won't give you any more spoilers, but you've got to find that. You've got to have a listen, and then I'll be interested to hear what. There's no guitar in it, I don't think, not this version, but I want you to tell me what you think of it. And, drop me a line. And anybody else, drop me a line and tell me what you think of The King of Rome by June Tabor, and see if there's a dry eye out in the house. Maybe it's just me. Horribly sentimental.
I'll have to suggest that to my friend Kev, who seems to have adopted some pigeons at his house. He's really? Not a pigeon fancy or anything, but I go down to his house and we play music, and but he goes out and feeds Pidgey every now and then. And he's developed a real relationship with the Birdman of Stockport. So I'm sure he'd be interested in hearing that.
Yeah, I think he'd already know it. I'm sure, yeah.
Okay, then so what's the next song?
Well. Well, the last two I've done been quite jazzy, haven't they? So I shouldn't do that. I should do something else.
It's entirely up to you.
Well, I'll do one where I only ever use two strings. I mean, not two strings, but I only ever play two strings. So two fingers, two strings. Yeah, and again, texture-wise, I think it's quite interesting. Those people that have heard me before, they will know this song. I think I'm in the right key. Yeah, and it's I don't know if you want. Do you want the background of these songs, or do you find it?
Yeah, why not? No, I'm all for it. I mean, that's what the whole program is about. It's about songs where where they come from. What?
Yeah. Well, all the songs that I write are deeply personal. And I can't tell you that, oh, yeah, I write them for this person, or, oh, no, it's not about me. Everything's about me, because I think I must be quietly very egocentric. But also, songwriting is healing. And I was in a very, very dark place, marriage failed, left by the husband. He'd run off with someone. I was there with the kids, trying to work, trying to keep a roof over my head and everything. And it got very dark. And so dark that there's no way I would have been able to write this song at the time. But a few, 8 years on, I'm able to write this song.
With a bit of distance.
It's called Dark Mantra, because it's that thing. A mantra is obviously, everybody knows, but it's a thing you repeat, goes round and round. So this dark mantra is when you get into the spiral of a depression, circumstantially, depression can be triggered by all sorts of things, but you can get these sort of reactive depressions according, if your life is just horrible, it can happen. And so you're just going round and round thinking of the negatives. And so that's what this song is called. It's called Dark Mantra.
Okay.
Can I just ask, I know you're gone, but I don't know if you're muting
I am.
Roland. But
yes, I have been.
Oh, lovely. That's great. Then what it is, it's my necklace knocking against the
I was trying to work out what that was.
Shove that in there so that because it was annoying me. I was thinking, is that me?
But the thing is, it didn't sound like a rattle. It sounded like the sort of click you sometimes get on a circuit.
Yes.
And I thought that's what it was. I couldn't work out what it was either. But no, I always might mute them.
That's good. I've just lost you there because my daughters, they do this. They forget that I'm online and they ring. She's trying to FaceTime me. It might happen again. Did you hear that?
No.
Did you hear the sound?
No.
Oh, that's good. Right, then I can ignore it. Right. Oh, God. I don't know if she's going to do it again. I hope not. Right, here we go with Dark Mantra. Why do I feel like I'm racing? Why does the pain hurt so bad? How can I hope to stop pacing when I have nothing, I am no one, I have no worth? Why does it all feel so broken? I always thought that I was strong. How can I live with the unspoken when I have nothing, I am no one, I have no worth? Please, God, let the sun come out. Let me rest in the safety of the blue. Please take me home. Please make me better, 'cause I have nothing, I am no one, I have no worth. Why do I look for tall buildings? Why have I the urge to fly? How can I hope to forgive myself when I have nothing, I am no one, I have no worth? Please, God, let me not cut out the circle center of my body. Please hide away that knife. Please help me live my life while I have nothing. I am no one. I've no worth. Please, God, take me for a walk. Let me see the wonder of the trees. How do they stand tall when all their leaves are falling?
Nice. Yeah, that sort of that slightly percussive effect you get there, just to remind, again, it's another thing that I'm very partial to, because I think for me it goes back to John Martin.
Ah, yes. Big John Martin fan, me.
Yeah, fantastic.
Or maybe that's where it came from.
It's I thought, I mean, I've seen I've read things and seen clips of him in later life when he didn't appear to be a very, very nice person, I have to admit. But when I was at university, he seemed to be on the circuit all the time. Was him and Danny Thompson were always a pairing. Is Danny Thompson, he's still alive, isn't he?
Yes, as far as I know, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great player.
Him and Herbie Flowers, he's still going as well, Herbie Flowers.
Yeah.
I saw John Martin many years ago. I was just a teenager. I saw him. He came to Aberdeen, did a big gig at the was it the Capitol Theatre there. And I mean, it was tremendous. It was more bluesy because I had been listening to things like Grace in Danger and what is it? Solid Air and all that.
Solid Air, yeah.
And then when he came, and it was quite bluesy what he did. Now, I wasn't really in the mood for all the blues stuff, particularly, but his Solid Air stuff and all the songs on Grace and Danger. I mean, I was just a young teen. I was about 13 or 14, maybe 15, listening to John Martin. Again, his voice, just all those harmonics in his voice. But you're right, he wasn't. Someone I know was actually his road manager and subsequently his girlfriend for a period, and he was a rotter.
Oh yeah.
And there's actually a documentary. Did you see the documentary about him?
I saw some of it, and he came across as being horrific.
Came across as a complete arsehole, really.
Yes, a complete arsehole. Yeah.
You know,
but the interesting thing is, on the other side of the coin, I watched some footage of him the other day, which was very early on, and he was just a sort of fresh-faced, sweet lad playing the guitar, and he was so gentle with the audience as well. Whereas I remember him at university, he'd be sort of half an hour late coming on stage, and he'd stumble on and say, "Oh, some good weed, man," and everybody would cheer, and I'd think, "What a dickhead." You know, it was he got a bit up himself.
Do you know what? It's the demon drink. I don't know. We've all lost people to the excesses of drinking drugs, and I mean that ties in really with that song I just sung, which is you know, people self-medicate. People have all sorts of complexities in their personality, and they have all sorts of problems, and you survive it if you don't self-medicate.
Well, wasn't he diabetic as well?
Yeah, I think that you can land up with diabetes from drinking and stuff, can't you?
Yeah, because I think didn't he have one foot amputated?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he ended up as quite a mess, which is a shame.
Yeah.
It's always a shame.
I know, a real sad, tragic. But there's a lot.
But he's left us with that hand action.
Yeah, I didn't even realise that that's where it had come from. But when I think about it,
that's where it comes from me, certainly.
Yeah. Well, the other one was Nick Drake. You know, his unconventional. Broke all just unconventional stuff, and I mean I don't study these people, but I think if you listen to stuff, it just
absolutely
filters through, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's like osmosis, isn't it? You pick up these things. I'm sure. I mean, I can remember learning May You Never and
Oh,
things like that. But
yeah.
and that's got the sort of the vestiges of that sort of slapping thing in it.
Yes.
But I didn't really sort of study. Again, as you say, you listen to a lot of stuff and you somehow or other absorb bits of it.
I learned a new chord I
Go
learned
on
a
then.
couple of new chords the other week because I was watching, and this is like top tip for
Right.
anybody out there, if there's anybody, more than one person out there. I was watching on Sky Arts. It was a program about Robin Gibb from the Bee Gees, and it was it Robin or the other one? I get them confused, to be honest. Maybe it wasn't Robin. Barry Gibb,
Don't know.
and it was all about his songwriting process and his life and the brothers and everything, and the songs and stuff. And he sang, the light in the morning sun. How deep is your love? And I thought, do you
Yeah.
know what? That's a lovely song. So I got it up on Tinternet and looked at some chords, and I suddenly, in the process of teaching myself to play How Deep Is Your Love, I went, new chords. So they
Yeah.
found their way into
Yeah.
some new.
Yeah.
And then that's in How Deep Is Your Love, and so is that in How Deep Is Your Love as well. I thought, so if I keep learning other people's songs, and because I detuned to do a Colin Hay song and landed up with a completely different song that I wrote just using that kind of
Yeah.
open G tuning, blah blah blah. So learning other people's songs is a
Of course.
great way to discover
Yeah.
new chord sequences or new chords. That's how I've been doing it. I don't know. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
No, not at all. And when I was playing with a big band, we had a pad of when I first joined the band of 450 songs, fully arranged. Because the band had been going for like 30 years.
Who was this band?
It was a band called the Double B Jazz Orchestra.
Quite hard to say then.
Yeah.
They did quite well to last that long.
Well, they were called something up. They were called Boulder's Brass or something before, because the leader was a guy called somebody Boulder.
Okay.
But then because they had all the stands painted, they had to come up with a name that had the two B's in it.
Because they were too tight to buy some new ones.
Exactly. But what we used to do is that I used to do 3 tunes every week with just the rhythm section and the vocalist. And obviously, like with 650 tunes or whatever it was, the total in the pad, we obviously couldn't do any of those. So, and we managed to do 18 months without repeating a song. So, I mean, the scope for the number of songs available within the Great American Songbook is phenomenal. And you start, and I mean, I have to admit, when I first started doing it, I was petrified. The leader would sort of count us in, and I'd go, and sometimes I just freeze. I got no idea where I am here. I'm 4 bars in, and I've lost it already.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right. You learn, and this. I was reading a book called what's it called? Songwriters on Songwriting, and it's one of the things in that it talks about Carole King and saying that there's one chord, and I think it's an A over a B, and you only play this chord and it's going to be a Carole King song.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yes.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Listen, we're actually we're chatting a lot here. Would you like to do one more song before we call it a day?
Well, if you don't think I've overstayed my welcome.
No, not at all. I feel we should round it off nicely.
Well, I tell you what, I'll round it off with the single that I released. So it's on Spotify. It's on, I think it's on iTunes. It's on the usual things. Bandcamp is good, because if you go to Bandcamp and you can afford £1.
Yes.
If you can afford £1, then buy it on Bandcamp from me, because I think I've probably got about 10 streams on Spotify, and half of those will be my mother. I'm not sure, but Bandcamp's good. This is a song that I recorded it in a studio, and my lovely friend Steve Rose, who's going to be my bass player, I work with him from time to time. He's a wonderful orchestrator as well, and he loved the song, and he just put some orchestration on it. So if you really want to hear it in all its glory, then go on to find it. It's called Waltz for the Girls. But here's the unplugged version, as it were.
Yeah.
And it's dedicated to my daughters, Sarah and Lucy, because it's about them. It's a love story or a lullaby to my daughters.
Okay.
This is a song for the children, for mothers with wholehearted view. You only take what's been given, and this gift's been passed on to you. It's one thing to live with conditional love. God knows how that feels, I do too. But babies were born to cut through all pretending. That bond will always stay true. I love you till the moon and your stars stop spinning. I love you, yes, I love you, round the planets and the universe, twice past the Milky Way and back round to tuck you up, tangle your covers and kiss you goodnight and say, I love you. I love you. Now that you're grown and we're older, this is my message to you. Keep all your children beside you, 'cause they'll have their families too. It's one thing to feel unconditional love, and I want you to pass it on through. Tell all your babies the stories of love that I tried so hard to teach you. Tell them I love you. I love you till the moon and your stars stop spinning. I love you, yes, I love you, round the planets and the universe, twice past the Milky Way and back round to tuck you up, tangle your covers and kiss you goodnight and say, I love you. I love you. Ooh, off to bed we go. Off to bed we go. Night, night, sleep tight. Off to bed we go.
Excellent. Nice to hear something in 3/4. It's that's one of the things, you know, most people, I mean, you rarely hear people writing songs in Waltz time.
Oh.
And it's nice. But particularly with that one, I like that because you've got the drone of the top strings there all the time. You've just got this sort of walking bass in the bottom of it. It sounds lovely. It's good.
Yeah,
nice song.
Thank you. I was a bit twangy because I think I need to do something with my nail. And can I just say, for the record, it has not warmed up in here. And so I've still got very cold hands. So
oh,
that's
dear.
my excuse.
All right.
But yeah, good. Oh, that was fun.
So, well, thanks for joining us. Keep in touch. I shall definitely check out The King of Rome. And
yes, and
thanks for your time. Thanks for taking part. We've told we've shown the your website so people can find it where you are.
Much for that. Yeah, it needs a little bit of a tweak here and there, but it's certainly an easy way to kind of check out what I've been up to and stuff.
Yep.
And Roland, thank you, and I will be keeping a close eye on you also, because you've been out there, you're out there gigging now, and
indeed, yeah,
and popping things up on the internet, so it's good to kind of catch up with what you're doing as well. And it's really been lovely to be able to just talk to another soul on a Tuesday night about
stuff that's important,
about music.
Yeah,
but we've probably bored the pants off of everybody else who's interested in
that. The thing for me is that, I mean, and I think this is episode number 72 or 73 now, and it's certainly kept me sane during the lockdown period.
I think that we've all really learned a lot from lockdown. There's many disadvantages, but there's many benefits, and one of them is we can do the Star Trek stuff. This is Star Trek.
It is, isn't it?
It is Star Trek.
Yeah,
so, lucky us, I should say. But thank you, everybody else who's watching in the future.
We've got Paul joined in as well. Paul Openshaw.
Oh, now we know Paul. I think
he's a talent. He's talented.
I recognise your name, Paul. Yeah, great. Well, thank you for checking us out.
Yeah, and a final sign off from David Fee. Thanks, Donna and Roland. Very enjoyable show. Good night.
Oh, thank you, David. He's a star.
Oh, and another one from G.J. Armstrong, who's I think G.J. Armstrong is local to here. I'm saying he. I'm assuming. I think it's
local to where? Because I'm not local to you. I'm down in Hertfordshire. Yes.
Brilliant. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hope you get warm soon. Look after yourself.
Thank you so much.
And keep us posted.
Thank you.
Great. Even Archie was saying goodbye there. That's all from me for this week. What am I up to the rest of the week? I've got a few gigs coming up this week, which is good. I'll be up at the Irwell Brewery on Thursday, up in Ramsbottom, which is it's a lovely little venue. It's a sort of small private brewery. And the brewery's downstairs. They've got this little bar upstairs. I shall be playing there with Ian Mellor on percussion. Then Friday, we're up in Burscough with the full trio, with Bo on bass as well as Ian on percussion, at the Thirsty Duck, I think it's called. And then on Sunday, this is a blast from the past, I'm supporting Dr. Feelgood, which is kind of weird, really, because I was the support act for Dr. Feelgood in about 1977. So, what goes around comes around. So I'm looking forward to that. So if any of you in the area, we're playing at a location which is also called Dr. Feelgood's, believe it or not, in Stockport. So that should be a good fun evening. So if you're at a loose end on Sunday night, come and join us. In the meantime, look after yourselves. I think next week, I don't think I'm doing it next week because I think I'm going to be in Harrogate doing a gig up there. So I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Okay. In the meantime, look after yourselves. Bye.